Hello, everybody. Zongetsu 134 here.
And I'm Average Joe Squad.
And as always, this is Remember the Hyphen, the show where we look at comic books, movies, and everything in between. And I almost fucked that intro up.
Adam, I can get us the show, but you need to give me control.
Yeah, and tonight we're finally reviewing The Fist of Khonshu, Moon Knight.
Bro, you look like you're about to tell me not to come to school tomorrow.
Lyle! Oh my god, they did the Pentagon! They did the fucking Pentagon, Lyle! Turn on the TV, it doesn't matter what channel. So I apologize for us taking forever to actually review the series.
I was sick,
and then I
he
caught it.
what I had, and it was that type of sickness where your voice, you sounds like you're gargling nails.
Yeah,
I'm like not in a cool grunge type of way, but in a way that it just sounds like you're dying.
Yeah, I'm only just now recovering from it. The other thing was we wanted to wait until after Doctor Strange because, let's be honest, what review were you gonna watch first when that movie was coming out? It was gonna be Doctor Strange. But we're finally here reviewing it, which, is fine because that gives us a little bit of time to figure out what we're doing next month for review wise.
We're doing Star Wars.
Oh, that's right. That is. I always think the month we're doing for your birthday is.
Reminds me, I need to buy the Ewok movies here soon. I need to get those on tape.
Yeah, you need to do that. But
break that off as a business expense.
Spoilers for what's going to happen next month.
We've said it multiple times. June's Star Wars month. We're going to do the original trilogy and stuff.
Yeah,
because that's
the only thing we really care about, if we're honest.
That's the only Star Wars stuff I need anymore.
We're also
I am going to watch Obi-Wan though, so
yeah.
Maybe review of that. We don't know. Don't hold us to that.
But I'm sorry. I'm going to be sacrificial lambing you. You're going to be the one that watches that first before I decided whether or not I'm watching it.
Yeah. Well, I plan on watching it. I'll let you know how it is. But so there might be a review of that. Don't hold us to that. It's a possibility, but it's not set in stone.
Because as much as I love Mandalorian, the last episode of that and Book of Boba Fett kind of ruined that for me.
You guys are gonna review this because of Obi-Wan.
I mean, yeah, because he's like probably one of the few
because of Obi-Wan.
One of the few things that they haven't fucked up yet. But anyway, we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about Moon Knight.
Because of Obi-Wan.
So, for those of you who don't know, this TV show is about a kind of not well-known DC vigilante known as Moon Knight. In particular, this is based off the 2016 run of the comic where I want to say it was Jeff Lemire who wrote that. Yeah, it was Jeff Lemire. It was Jeff Lemire.
I knew nothing about this character going into this movie. Or this show.
But
it's basically a 4-hour movie if you really think about it.
And just for warning, if you do watch this show deals a lot with mental health issues.
Split personalities.
Child abuse.
There's some heavy stuff in this show.
So if you do want to watch it,
please be
your discretion.
Yeah.
There's also a bit of flashing lights in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
So if you have seizures, I would probably
you're sensitive to light, basically.
Sensitive to light, yeah.
I'm sure most people, if they want to watch this and they have those things, I'm sure most people will do the research on that.
Yeah, but
I don't think you have to anymore. And plus, with the internet, it's a lot easier.
More or less, the show's about Mark Spector, also known as Steve Grant, also known as Jake Lockley, also known as Moon Knight 1. Oh yeah, in the comics, he has like 7 different personalities instead of 3.
Oh, I can believe it.
But
glad they didn't do that in the show because holy fuck, that would have been confusing.
No, they went with the original 2016 run where it was just, well, okay, there's like a fourth personality and also technically Khonshu, because Khonshu technically may or may not be real in the Marvel universe, despite the fact that Hercules and Thor are real.
Strangely enough, I have a book called Marvel Myths and Legends.
Yeah.
They didn't mention any of the Egyptian stuff at all in it, which, now that I think about it, is kind of weird because they mention Eternals, the Black Panther related stuff, the Olympians, Doctor Strange related stuff, Thor, and the Asgardians. That's very weird. I wonder
that's done on purpose because one of the things that
it's very weird.
that was brought up in the 2016 run was that Khonshu may not be real. That Khonshu himself may be just yet another one of Spectre's personalities, and the one that I personally prefer the idea that Khonshu is real. It's just he's like the only Egyptian deity that survived.
That kind of seems to be what they went with here.
No, I'm very happy they went with because
I like the idea that there's all these different pantheons of gods,
as do I,
and goddesses, and they all exist in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
it depends on what plane they're at, or like, you know, how much power they have. I like that because it's interesting how they all, not to mention you can, in the comics, you have like, these guys will all call council at times.
Yeah.
To me, that's interesting as all hell.
Yeah.
How that works, you know, how the interrelationships of that.
Yeah, like that's one of the things I liked about in DC when like Zeus would oftentimes associate with the wizard Shazam when shit's going foobar. And stuff like that. But and here basically more or less the plot is that Mark Spector, after nearly dying as a mercenary at the hands of his own partner, is recruited by the Egyptian god of justice Khonshu to become his Moon Knight. And he's given a magic suit that heals him, as well as gives him like supernatural strength, speed, and the ability to fly using his cape. And basically they're going after Dr. Arthur Harrow, who was originally Khonshu's former Moon Knight, and his vessel, who basically separated from Khonshu because he believed that Khonshu was not nearly thorough enough in doling out his sense of justice, and instead goes after the Egyptian god of the dead known as Amit. Or rather, actually, I say he's the god of the dead. He's actually, technically that's Osiris. And yes, Anubis himself is not actually the god of the dead. He's the god who guides the dead. That Osiris is the god of the dead, which is a different thing. Amit is actually the god of the scales, where basically Amit is this lizard gator deity that when you enter into the afterlife, your heart is put on this scale with this feather, and the feather is like purity and goodness, and if your heart weighs more than the feather, you are evil, and then you are banished into, well, their version of hell. If you're good, you're sent to the field of reeds, where you're allowed to live in happiness and peace. Basically, Amit decided that everyone should die because if you have the chance to be evil, you need to die. Basically, it's basically like Minority Report or
Civil War II.
Yeah, Civil War II, where like
Except this was actually done way better.
Yeah, way better. Where if you even have like an evil thought, you are judged as evil and you die. And so basically, Khonshu and Mark are setting off to stop Harrow. Unfortunately, Mark Spector suffers from associative identity disorder and has multiple personalities. One of which is being the timid gift shop employee at a British museum known as Stephen Grant. There's also a third personality, but that doesn't matter until the very end of the show because they were setting up for like a season 2. And that's more or less the plot without going super deep into the plot.
Well, yes and no. It was submitted as a limited series.
Well,
not to mention Oscar Isaac didn't sign on. He didn't sign the normal contract with Marvel.
Yeah.
He literally signed on for these 6 episodes, and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, well, like, to be fair, I kind of get that because like they were probably also like testing whether or not people were gonna want more Moon Knight because, again, probably not a lot of people knew who Moon Knight was.
I'd seen memes. That was about it. I knew nothing at all.
Plus, most people know him as, oh, he's just white Marvel Batman, which, no, he's not. He murders people on the regular. But you'd say that was but like when I meant that's about the plot. Like that's like more or less the.
Yeah, you about nailed it right there.
So before we really kind of dive into the episodes, because I do want to talk about the episodes, but like we won't like deep dive into them. What was your opinion of this show as we
I honestly was very surprised at how much I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it kind of started like a little slowish. I wasn't too into it until like I want to say like maybe like end of the 2nd episode into the 3rd was when I really got hooked on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I was very surprised. I think it did a phenomenal job with introducing the characters to you in a way that it piqued your interest, you know, and it held that interest. It didn't just it didn't just get you interested and then like, you know, the interest would kind of gradually fade off. Like,
yeah.
And from what I saw on the internet, that would happen with a lot of people. Is that people got hooked on this?
Yeah.
You know, for good reason because it was really well done.
Which is why I think like I think that they're gonna make more of this just because of the popularity of it. I know they haven't said anything, but like Like, given like the ending and the fact that like people really love this, there's no way they're not making more.
But yeah, just to kind of answer your question, like I really enjoyed it a lot. Especially when they really started diving into like the Egyptian mythology and stuff.
God, that was so
it.
good.
Yeah, that was actually really fucking well done. It was very, very interesting.
I think you were lost a little bit, but it helps that I'm like such a Yu-Gi-Oh guy. Like I knew a lot of what they were talking about.
I know a lot about Egyptian stuff.
Oh, you knew? Okay.
Yeah, bro, I'm a history man.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, but you usually are like American history and like World War II and Vietnam.
Yeah, but I'm a man of many interests.
I mean, fair. I just didn't know you dabbled. I didn't know you were into that sort of stuff. But yeah, for me like that and just the like I think
also, apologies for any audio contamination.
Yeah, it's raining right now.
It just started raining.
Spring/early summer in Pennsylvania.
Well, and it's amusing that it wasn't raining for the first video we shot that night, but the minute we get into like a longer one, it just has to start fucking downpouring.
I mean, it was drizzling, but now it's like absolutely downpouring.
Yeah, it's like sideways rain.
Like fuck my ass. But yeah, like for me, I think the thing that really did really well was I really think they were very respectful about dealing with Mark's disability and his mental state. Like I was a little afraid they might try to play some of it up for laughs, especially in like the first couple episodes where like it seemed like they really loved playing up like Steven taking control of the body with like at like the worst opportune times and being kind of like a goofball about it. But like as the series wore on and like we actually got to see that Steven can be helpful, especially because he knows much more about Egyptian lore than Mark, and the fact that he actually can read like
he single-handedly fixed Layla and Mark's marriage.
Oh yeah, he also single-handedly but like
as far as I'm concerned,
I mean that doesn't surprise me because Mark is kind of a dipshit. Like Mark's biggest problem isn't that he has
like us.
Well, no, it's not that he has like associative identity disorder. It's just he ruins every relationship he's in because he's afraid of getting hurt. That is literally half the reason.
Again, he's like me then.
Yeah, like is half the reason why. Like, in fact, that's why he dies later on is because he decided to not tell Layla anything about his life. But no, I was really liked how well done they did, especially when we got into like Mark's backstory and they did some really heavy stuff. Like I was actually like this is probably one of the few times I watched a Marvel movie where I actually felt really uncomfortable as they were like going through his backstory. Like rarely do I think we in the MCU currently did we ever get into anything super heavy that I couldn't not.
This was actually super heavy.
Yeah. And I also know that like I know a lot of people got mad that like they didn't get an actual Jewish actor to portray Mark since he himself is actually Jewish in the comics, but to be fair, I think Oscar Isaac did a very well done job.
Yeah, a lot of the compliments of the show that I've seen have really put him as like a standout. Him and Ethan Hawke.
Yeah,
Ethan Hawke was fucking phenomenal
as Professor Harrow, or as Arthur Harrow. Oscar did a phenomenal job of being able to portray
just switch.
And just switch. Like he did a very good job.
If I remember correctly, reading somewhere too, he did an interview. He talked about he did research for this.
Yeah, it was very well done. And Arthur Harrow as the villain he's very interesting, and not only that, you can actually
he's very intimidating.
Well, not only that, there's a few times where you're like, he does kind of have a point.
What I liked is, like I said, he had a very intimidating on-screen presence.
Yeah, that scene where he talks to Khonshu after the other Egyptian deities imprisoned him in that stone. I want you to know that when I have my victory, I'll thank you. Your pain taught me that I could do so much more. I was like, oh my god, that was chilling.
That dude's a great actor.
No,
man.
He's great. He was great. I also really liked the actress that played Layla. She was really great. I also have to give props to Marvel for being like, fuck it, we're gonna throw in an Egyptian female superhero in here.
And in response, Egypt bans Multiverse of Madness. I offered you friendship and you spit in my face.
I'm so glad they because like they actually managed to beat DC to the punch.
They did Hawkgirl before DC fucking did.
Well, not like just that, like they managed to get this out before Black Adam, who is also, well, he's Middle Eastern.
Marvel looking at DC. Couldn't help but notice you copied my look. It's kind of what they're doing. I'm like, are you guys just pissing with DC at this point because it's funny?
I mean, to be fair,
it's fucking hilarious.
I also happen to be claiming, copying the look of a certain Sorcerer Supreme. I also apologize if it looks a little shit. I'm just growing it in. It's only been like a week.
For the next episode we do, I'm gonna take a Sharpie and draw a third eye up here for Adam.
Then once the third eye's done. Like the end. But no, I really liked Layla.
Catch me over here doing a Clea cosplay. That way it's fucking accurate.
But no, I really love Layla. I loved her design. Apparently she's based on like this really obscure Marvel character that I've never heard of, known as the Red Scarab. Who's actually usually a man, but given how like barely anyone knows that character.
Much it seems like it's a little obscure.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? Do whatever the fuck you want with that. I've never heard of that character. But I'm also glad they went with that because I'm like, oh god, if she was a Red Scarab and she had like an actual beetle-shaped costume, I'm like, oh, there's gonna be so many people like, you're stealing that from Blue Beetle. So I'm like, so thank you for making her costume not look like you're just ripping off Blue Beetle, Marvel. I appreciate that. I just love that scene where that little girl's like, are you an Egyptian superhero?
I
am. Oh, and Tauret was adorable.
Oh my god, I want a plushie.
She was.
Somebody make a plushie of her, please, I beg you.
Hell,
I will buy the hell out of that.
They had them.
I'll buy 4.
They had them in the first episode. Like I'm like, just put those. Just make
those out. I'll buy those.
I'll buy them.
I'll buy 4.
No, Tauret was amazing. Like especially because like. I got really frustrated.
This hippo was scaring the shit out of Mark Spector, and basically you're fucking stupid. Click here to find out why.
No, but like, I loved her. She was great. Honestly, just the whole part where like,
I have a wonderful idea for a costume. And I'm like,
oh, that was so cute when she like was. Oh, that was great. What'd you think of Khonshu in this?
I don't know who voiced him in this, but like. Again, phenomenal job.
I remember that night. I remember every night.
Yeah, just like very.
I'm like, oh my god, that was really good. The
writing was really good because I think they could have went one way with this and it would have been really unbelievable and like very like would have taken you out of the story.
Yeah.
I think the way they did it was just right. Like it.
Yeah.
I think it adds to it, and it adds like kind of like whenever he's on screen, like especially early on before we really know what's going on.
Yeah,
it's very much like almost like an otherworldly, almost like a horror type.
Oh my god,
where he shows up,
where he chases Steven
down. Yeah, like that was like a horror movie. I was like, holy fuck, what is this?
Mark, if you let that idiot take control again, I swear I'll kill you. Like no, I also really like that they did a really good job, I think, of making it really nebulous whether or not Khonshu is doing things actually for the good of Mark or if he's like purposefully using Mark in a way that's like going to ruin him further.
Yeah.
And of course at the very end of the series when we find out that he's been hiding yet another personality from both Mark and Steven, which I think they did a good job of bearing the lead with Jake while also like giving you just enough to know that like there's something else because like there's a couple of times where both Mark and Steven black out and all of a sudden everyone's fucking dead.
Yeah.
And they're like, they don't know who that is. And also when they go into Mark's history, when he talks about how like he went AWOL one night, like it's implied that when he went AWOL, that was actually Jake taking over him after he was almost forced to do something really awful in the army. Which I think they did a really good job.
He wasn't in the army at that point, he was a mercenary.
Yeah, well, I meant like you talking about how he went AWOL.
Well, yeah, but when the bad thing happened, he was a mercenary. That was past that.
Oh, that was past that?
Yeah, that was past that. He was a mercenary at that point.
I assumed the AWOL thing was
No.
Okay.
He went AWOL, but that was at this point. The rest of it's at this point.
Okay,
by that time, he was a mercenary.
Okay, I might have. That's on me then. I misunderstood the explanation. Which then it's been like weeks since.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that like we were on the same page. For that.
No, I see what you're saying now.
That's actually a very common thing.
Yeah, I get what you're laying down. I'm a hip cat. Can you sell me some skin, soul brother?
Are you culturally appropriating right now?
Motherfucker, that was from Charlie and the Goddamn Chocolate Factory. That was Johnny Depp, one of the whitest men I know, pretending to be...
I've never seen that. I've only seen the original.
Well, you should be lucky, because that movie sucks. Hey, let's take this wonderful, fun, cartoony story about this kid in this magic chocolate factory.
Reference that, but you won't watch fucking Pirates of the Caribbean with me. I see how it is.
Motherfucker, you wanted to watch all four. I wanted
to watch all three. I wanted to do the first three. I've never seen the fourth one.
It's bad. There's a reason why the franchise died.
Yeah, because they fired Johnny Depp.
That too.
That was actually the whole reason for that.
But getting back on track. Where was I at? Wait, we're talking about Jake. I actually really love that scene where when Mark is actually, let's talk about what did you think of the episodes where they were in the mental institution and it would
Oh, listen. So I watched that before him and before our friend Riley, who was also watching this. I watched that before them, and I remember telling both of you, I'm warning you, the end of this episode is gonna mind fuck you. Really bad.
Which
it really reminded me a lot of an episode called Normal Again from Buffy in season 6.
Mm-hmm.
It really, because it was kind of the same idea. Did everything we see happen? Did that actually happen? Or was it happening in the main character's mind? It was very much they were very much like akin, basically, to one another.
For me, it wasn't as bad because I just watched a video where someone was explaining the run that this is based on. Because I was like, I'll watch this because I can't just get the run right now. And the run itself actually straight up opens on that, where Mark is in the mental institution, but it's a nightmarish mental facility where they're giving him electroshock therapy.
It's like an old school asylum.
Yeah, and it's basically Arkham Asylum.
Yeah,
and it's exactly like that. So the moment I got to that, I'm like, I see what's going on here. Everything's in his head. Which were you glad as I was that they didn't just decide to say no, it's all in his head? Because I would have been pissed.
Listen, they did the same thing with Buffy. I'm very, very glad that they didn't. They did the same. They made the same decision here that they made in Buffy, is that it's no, that everything that happened actually did happen, because I feel like there are stories where that you could make that work, but I feel like with a story like this, that would have been it would have been very counterintuitive to the story itself.
And also frustrating is and then it's well, how much of this actually was real? Are you trying to tell me that he imagined the entire MCU? Because he does reference the Avengers and other stuff in this. So I'm so how much of this is actually real? Although I will admit, the one thing that threw me off was when they go into the Stephen Grant movie and it gets really, really cheap looking. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck is this? And then we get into the actual mental facility, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was a movie he was watching. I also really loved, and to be fair, I actually really love that picture someone was drawing of the bird but it had Khonshu's head.
Yeah.
I like to interpret that as Khonshu was trying, even though he was sealed, desperately to reach Mark, even though he was sealed. Hence why that head of Khonshu looks so much like that. I also really love the office that Dr. Harrow in this universe was actually the building that they fought the second Jackal in. It's just painted white.
Yeah.
That was really, really clever. I actually missed that the first time around until someone actually pointed that out in on one of the Facebook pages we're on. I was like, oh, that's actually really...
Same thing here. One of the Facebook groups mentioned that. I was like, oh, hell, that's kind of cool.
But, no, I actually really liked that they... I loved all the little callbacks they had, to the point where, they had, an actual Hasbro Moon Knight figure that, he was playing with. Which I want to say is actually based on the Diamond Selects version of Moon Knight that is actually available right now, because of course they made a Diamond Select for this while the show was on.
Yeah,
I mean, why not? Then I like I said, I really liked it, but I was just really glad they didn't decide to just be nah, he's just nuts. Like that works in a lot of places, but like not here.
Yeah, that would work in like a Jacob's Ladder kind of situation, but
Yeah.
that wasn't this kind of story.
Yeah, or like that was like if the episode of Batman the Animated Series, Perchance to Dream, where like Mad Hatter puts him in that reality where he and Batman are separate people, and they decide, nah, all that animated series, Bruce is just nuts. Like, I'd be like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Because they do that all the time with Batman. I'm like, could we not? I do not need. Oh, he's actually crazy. Then I think the other problem is like the internet's kind of ruined that idea for me, where like because everyone's like
everybody's done that theory.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it turns out in Rugrats all the babies are actually dead, and Angelica's just imagining them to cope with their deaths because of the parents being so reckless. They all like died. And I'm like, thanks.
Man, you ever thought about just going outside?
There's one for like that for Ed, Ed and Eddie, where I think it's the idea that Ed imagined all of them because.
I always subscribe to the one that is just purgatory.
To be fair, I actually do like that theory. That is a good theory, especially because like you never see like any adults in that show.
Yeah.
But no, I really like that, and it I think goes really well into what they were basing this on while doing their own thing. Because even Jeff Lemire, when he wrote this, he's like, I left it open ambiguously because I didn't want to make it so that they couldn't use Moon Knight anymore. So like, whether or not like Khonshu is real or not is up to your interpretation and whoever's writing this after me. So leave me alone. Which is probably how I would have been like that. I'm like, I left it open because I knew all you fucks would get mad at me.
Yeah, basically.
So it's open to interpretation. Which is also where we got the hilarious Dr. Knight or Mr. Knight costume that whenever Steven takes over, like, which is just like a white suit with a mask, which
not Psycho Colonel Sanders.
Not Sanders. Which is kind of sad for me because, like, technically, like, Jake doesn't have like his own version of the Moon Knight costume. It's just you have the vigilante costume, and then you have the sweet looking suit.
Yeah.
So they do this. I hope they give Jake like some, like, give him like the more comic book accurate costume where it has like the black.
Yeah.
And just make him like use like Moon Knight shaped guns that shoot crescent shaped bullets or something. I don't know. Be hilarious. Or give him the nunchucks that he uses sometimes. That'd be great too. I also love his costume design. He's actually his look actually based on this dude that his name's like Frenchie because he's literally a French stereotype.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so he's like that character in The Boys.
Yeah. Well, he's literally like Moon Knight's Alfred, but like not really. He basically is just there to drive the mooncopter. And by mooncopter, I mean it's literally a plane shaped like a crescent moon, but they call it the mooncopter for some reason. Comic books. Like, and so like I actually really like the look that they gave, because like Jake and Frenchie actually do kind of look very similar, so it worked out really well. But yeah,
if you had any complaints,
yeah,
what are they?
If I don't have any complaints, I will admit the first episode, while it's really fun, it does get a little annoying how much they constantly cut away from the action.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I enjoyed them, you know, doing the cuts to show whenever like Mark or Jake would take over, like it did eventually after a while. I'm like, come on, I want to see some of the actual fights.
Yeah.
That and some of the CG in this was a little not very good. Particularly the logs that were falling in the first episode, where I could tell those were actual CGI logs.
Which, here's the thing, you had pointed that out, and when I watched it again, I was like, it didn't bother me, I guess.
Well, to be fair, they might have also went back and fixed that after that episode came out. Like, it might have been that was a running fix. Because I can imagine they were on a tight deadline to get that out. I don't know. There's a couple of scenes in that for me where they look very PS2-y, but otherwise the CG looked really good everywhere else. Like Khonshu looked really good, Amit looked really good, Taweret looked really good. The stuff where they're on the sands of the dead, the sands of the dead, that looked really, really, really good. I also really loved the looks of the jackals in these. Although admittedly I thought they were werewolves, because technically in the comics originally Moon Knight got his start hunting werewolves. actually,
Yeah,
Werewolf by Midnight actually debuted in Moon Knight. He was originally a villain, much like Morbius, the living vampire. It's Morbin time.
I hear Werewolf by Midnight, all I can think of is Werewolves of London.
That's fair. But no, here they're actually jackals, which because they're. Well, that was weird because I'm like, technically, shouldn't the jackals be servants of Anubis than Amit? But that's me kind of.
Probably the only complaint I really had was like, it felt like it could have been longer. Like,
yeah,
it felt like it really would have benefited from like maybe having like 8 episodes.
We could have done like 3 more episodes in my opinion.
Like it might have benefited from being a little longer
because like
it didn't have the rush feel that like some people have pointed out some of the other shows have had at points.
Yeah.
But I definitely kind of was like I kind of wanted more. You know, like maybe they could have done a couple more episodes, stretched things out just a little bit. But at the same time, that opens up the risk of it blowing up, basically.
Well, and it didn't help that like for at least 3 or 4 episodes of this, he doesn't even like put the costume on. Like that got a little.
I remember seeing online that was a common complaint was that he's not in the costume enough.
Yeah. Especially because I actually really like how they like justify why his costume's all white and looks the way it does, where the costume is actually like mummy wrappings. Like to make him look like kind of like a mummy, which I was like, that's actually really cool. And I would really love if the comics actually explained that's why he wears the all white. Because like in the comics, they explain he wears all white because he's like, unlike other vigilantes of the night that use it as stealth, I want my enemies to know I'm coming because I am Moon Knight and I avenge those who walk in the night. Like he wants his enemies to know he's coming because you can't
run.
You can't run. Which I mean that's cool, but like I really loved how like it formed by like mummy wrappings. That was cool too. Like
yeah, I really liked that.
I also like the fact that they made the moonerangs, as I call them, because I don't know what else to call them. They made them like he can like control them and summon them back. I was like, and I also love they did that thing with his cape where it looks like a crescent moon. Like I admit I have a type when it comes to superheroes. I love me some vigilantes that roam the night in sweet looking costumes. Like. If Todd McFarlane wasn't such an asshole, I'd probably be a Spawn guy. I'll
Which,
admit.
by the way, don't ever ask us for Spawn reviews. It's not happening.
I mean, we'll do the movie. I am up for us doing that movie because I would love to rip that shit
Well, I
apart.
want you guys to read the comics. That's not happening.
No, okay.
That would involve me giving money to McFarlane. The movie I can buy secondhand so he doesn't get shit.
Yeah, and to be fair, I one of these days we should just go into certain authors we just don't like. Because, yeah. No, I know.
Dan Slott hate video.
We're not doing a hate video. We're just going to talk about authors we do not like.
Oh, I'm going to tag him in that.
And you're welcome to tag him in that, but we're not going to just...
Give me that exposure from him being pissed at us.
Yay. I mean, I say that, but then he'll bring up Rob Liefeld. I'm like, oh, get ready, buckaroos. Every time
the feet man.
Because every time a Deadpool movie comes out, he's like, well, you know, I created that character. I'm like, no, you fucking didn't. You created a lame-ass fucking Deathstroke ripoff. And then you fucking did nothing with him. Fabian Nicieza, Joe Kelly, and everyone else created Deadpool. You made a fucking shitty-ass drawing.
Who had very bad-looking feet.
I'll give you credit for Cable, because Cable's the only thing you ever did that wasn't just a fucking...
And even then, his lore has been greatly expanded by people that actually have some fucking talent.
Yeah.
But anyway, so... ratings. Out of 10... I'm gonna give it a solid 9 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Just the whole package. It felt very tight. It was very fast. The quality didn't waver for me, like in terms of the focus of the storytelling, the quality of it, the cinematography. Everything came together. Really, really solid package. I give it 9 out of 10.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I thought maybe but like. My problems aside, like minor CGI, this was a quality show, and I really, really liked how it dealt with the mental health issues. Like much like the run this is based on, it doesn't say that Mark
preach.
Yeah, it doesn't preach. It doesn't treat Mark like he needs like he needs to be put away or like he needs help, but he can still, you know, do good as Moon Knight even with his like mental disorder. And I think that's really a really nice thing where it says it's like, you know, like Like if like they made a superhero with schizophrenia, it's like I have it, but like I deal with it and I also do good. Like it's really nice seeing characters like that where like they're allowed to have these kind of problems, but they still do good and they still want to be better than what they are. Like it's much like why I like Daredevil so much. You know, Daredevil is blind, but he still fights for justice, whether as the man without fear or as an attorney. And here I think that does it really well. It's really cool seeing a superhero whose lore is based around Egyptian pantheons. The fact that we have I want to say this is actually probably one of the few MCU characters where they are established as an actual Jewish character. Because I don't think we have. Because I know Kitty prides on the X-Men, but
they haven't introduced her yet.
And we haven't done Thing.
There's been hints Peter is, but they have never fucking dealt with that in any of the movies, as far as I know.
Really,
in the comics, it's been hinted at here and there, never concise.
Because I was about to say, I thought a lot of times it seems like he's like very much Christian, but then again, that might just be because of Aunt May and Uncle Ben raising him.
You would have to actually Google it. I don't know. I've never dived into it because I'm not a big religion guy.
I mean, I like unless it's like a representation for something that I think I
needs representation.
I don't really care.
Yeah, but anyway.
But I was just trying to figure out if we had any other Jewish Avengers, but I don't think we do.
Yeah, you have Natasha, the godless Soviet.
Yeah, Colton, and she got thrown off a cliff. She did.
Dead.
I mean, to be fair, given how ScarJo and Disney parted ways, I don't think she's coming back.
Well, no, they sorted it. She's back. She's back on the train.
That's impressive.
It is rather impressive, but anyway,
like I said, I think this is really well done. Again, I like seeing like the Egyptian pantheon referenced in comics. It's one of those pantheons where they don't really have a lot of representation compared to like say the Greek pantheon, Norse, Christian. Although I wouldn't mind some Japanese and Chinese heroes. They're in so few in like comics that like have like really good representation. Like as much as I love the Justice League, I know we're never probably going to see the female Dr. Light on screen. Well, I will be happy when we finally get that Blue Beetle movie, even if George Lopez is in it. Oh, that's going to be rough. But
anyway, guys,
I think that's going to wrap it up.
Yeah, so tune in next time for
probably Star Wars, because that's probably what we're going to be getting into pretty soon.
Either that or maybe Ghost Rider. We're not sure yet.
Either that or maybe Ghost Rider.
If you have a couple weeks.
Then we probably should do that one review we were going to do when Multiverse of Madness came out.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
So we have a couple ideas.
June's
going to be Star Wars month, so.
Yeah. But, yeah, so look forward to what we got next, guys. But until then, I'm Zon Gets You 134.
And I'm Ever Show Squad.
And as always,
we ask you
to remember the hyphen
and take care.